Hey everybody, Matt here with Take Roads Less Traveled, and today on the Avalanche we're doing a little update by adding in a multi-switch panel, and it's one that I just got off of eBay. It's kind of just one of their universal ones. Gonna show you how it's done, let you see what's in the box, what all I got, and get this thing installed. Alright, so this is it. It is a universal 6-gang switch panel system made in China. Do-it-yourself switch panel, easy installation, all-in-one design, and it's supposed to be green backlit and then turns to yellow when the circuit's powered on. So let's get into this. Now I will say one thing that is not in here that you're probably going to want are a couple little buddy mini fuses. It's a fuse tap adapter. What this does is this allows you to tap into one of your existing fuses and add another fuse into it, and makes running accessory power really easy. I had to order these off eBay. They were like, I think like $6 for three or four of them. So let's get right into this, see what this looks like. Alright, so open this up. Little foam protective cover. Oh, what do we have here? We have a very general installation, telling what all we have in here as well. And yeah, just very general installation design. Do not reverse your connection. Okay. So you have a line running to your positive, you need to ground it, an accessory, all of your outs that run to your accessories, mounting plate, sticky tape, and everything for the switch panel itself. Okay, no big deal. What else do we have? Oh, all our little stickers for our switch panel. Mounting hardware. Ooh, they actually gave us zip ties to make our cord all nice. That's the panel block itself. Panel itself. Feels a little cheap, but what can I say? It was, $80 off of eBay. So, see how well it works. And then the main thing itself. So, let's see here. So, your mean relays, all of your extra fuses for running everything. These are all your lead connections, all numbered 1 through 6. Ground, power and accessory, and then the control for the switch itself. So pretty straightforward, nothing real fancy about it, and we'll get right into it. Alright, so looking at the engine bay, I was hoping to be able to run it over on that side, but underneath the fender brace, but there's not really enough room there. So I'm actually going to run it right here. You can actually see I've already drilled my 2 holes for where the box is going to go and everything. To remove this fender brace, it's just 4 13mm bolts. Come right out, super easy, no big deal. And then I just lined the box up, put a level on it to make sure it was sitting where it should, and marked my holes, did a quick punch on them, and then drilled the holes out. So let's go ahead and get this box put in and start running the wiring. Alright, so there's already one thing I'm not a huge fan of with the kit, and that is that basically all my wiring is going away from the battery. Now I'll admit that manufacturers don't know where the battery is on every single vehicle, and the other side of that is it is a universal kit, so it's just kind of part of it, but it's still a little annoying, and it's just because of my own personal OCD and everything on everything kind of being exact and perfect, but that's all right. It's not a big deal. Come on, get in there. There we go. chose this location, one, because this whole piece right here, there's absolutely nothing on the other side I need to worry about. It's just water drainage, so no big deal there. And if I need to, I can still, you know, get the lid off and everything to access those fuses. A little bit of a tight fit, but gives me the clearance I need. And not only that, it also actually still leaves me room to put in a second battery should I decide to add that in. So let's start running some wiring and get this thing set up. All right, so we've got our wiring ran all the way over to the driver's side so that we can hook into our power here. So here's our power line running off, and this is actually going to get connected onto this post right here. Just pull this nut off, that'll drop on in there, and then this is going to get put into a buddy fuse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the lid for my fuse box, and I'm going to find a 15 amp fuse that is accessory driven. And what'll happen is I'll pull that 15 amp fuse out, and it will go into the bottom slot here, and then I'll put another 15 amp fuse in right here for my switch power box, and then that'll just plug into that factory location. And that allows me to run two 15s off of a single 15. And then this will just get put onto this system right here, and that's just using a little butt connection to put it on. So super easy. And that's how you supply power to it. But before I do that, I need to run this line that allows me to actually connect the switch or the switch panel. And so what I'm going to do is I need to run it through the firewall. So I'm going to come down to this large grommet that's right here underneath this little electrical box, and I'm going to take and pop that. I'm actually going to cut a small little slice into this grommet seal. I'm going to run my line through it until I have as much through as I want, and then I'm actually going to take a little bit of RTV and reseal this grommet up because I don't want any water coming through. And what that allows me to do is that makes it so that I can take and go through the firewall without having to drill another hole, and also keeping everything waterproof with that RTV surrounding the line that I put in. So get that going and get everything hooked up onto power. So I've got my control line run through the firewall, and now it's time to get our power hooked up. So we're going to take and we're just going to strip a little bit off of the end of here. Helps if I actually use the right gauge. There we go. A little twist. Now, one of the things you want to be sure of is to always protect these connections. So I'm just doing a little shrink wrap. Put that on the line there. Bring in a crimp end. Put that in there nice and good and tight. All right, now just take our shrink wrap, come up over the top of that. Try and have it about even. Now, put a little heat on it. A heat gun works better than a torch, but I can't find my heat gun right now. Because with a torch, you risk burning things. I'm trying very hard not to do. I don't want to singe the wire insulation or anything. And I'm out in the wind which makes this even more fun. Probably should have done this while I had the whole thing disconnected. There. All right, so that's all done. So now we can take and disconnect our post nut. So when you have a side terminal battery, like what these GMs do, this is the way to do it. And, ooh, I actually have to drill this out just a little bit, or file it out to go over top of that. That's not quite big enough. But, actually, will it reach to, yes it will. I'm actually just gonna come over to this other one, and I'm gonna run to that one, because these have two posts that I can run power to. And is that a 10? It is. So I can just run to this one instead. There we go. Run to that front one. And let's see here. Get this, and I like things to look nice and clean, and try to simulate as much of it looking factory as possible. So we'll run underneath that. Actually, before I do that, like I said, this is all the joy of routing wires and trying to make it look all nice and pretty and everything. Is I'm actually going to run under that loom, so that'll look a little more factory. Bring this over. There we go. Much better. Make that turn. Yes, I can. Beautiful. There we go. All right. That gives me a very nice, clean, factory appearance to the whole thing, which just looks so much better when you're popping the hood open. I'll zip tie that down into there, and that'll look really good once all is said and done. All right, so everything's run. I've got my fuse block cover put back on. I've got all my wiring ready to go in. So the way that this works is you have your accessory line, which is where that fuse is going, and then I'm actually going to go into my 15 amp radio slot, and the fuse for that you pull out of your block, and then it goes into the bottom row on this fuse tie-in. There we go. And then you just plug it in right where that fuse was, and it fits right over top of what you've already got in place, just like that. So now we have to go in and get everything hooked up on the inside to be able to test everything out. All right, so I ended up changing over my fuse link over to my backup lights, and the reason is because I was getting constant power off of my radio and I didn't want anything to be draining the battery. So let's do a quick test just to make sure. Got the dash all taken apart, ready to wire this in. So I've got this hooked up just so it will do a test, and we've got green. If I press it, changes to yellow, and back to green when I press it again. Beautiful. All right, so I know that everything works. So now what I need to do is I need to route, well, one, I need to figure out where I'm going to put that switch panel at, somewhere on my dash somewhere. And then I need to route all that through everything, because I don't like wires being seen, so it's all going to be hidden and everything. Kind of testament to that is my phone charger cord. I've got it plugged in here, and then it wraps up and over top of the gauge cluster, and then comes out of the top of the dash right here, and I can tuck it back in so I don't have a ton of cords sticking out on me. So I like to keep my cords hidden. I don't like them showing all over the place. So see if I can figure out a way to route this to a place where I like where that is, and get it all mounted up. All right, so problem number 2 on this kit is that it's really ambiguous as to which one of these is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's supposed to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're gonna find out. So what I've done is I've just done a real crude wiring setup. So I've got a set of these little laser spots. It's just a LED spot, M1 laser, and I've got them set for amber. So you can see here, like I said, it's a very crude wiring. So I've got a positive lead running over to the number 6 port for the box, and then I've got my negatives tied together, and I've just got them running straight to or I should say my grounds run together, running straight over to a ground post. I've already got the truck accessory on, so we're lit up. So this should be number 6, so let's see if they turn on. And hey, we have power. All right, so I know that's number 6 now, so that tells me how I need to orient the switch when I set it up in the cab, which, based off of what I've been looking at, you can see I've pulled some stuff down here, but I've got a little block that goes in right there, and I think it'll look really good sitting right on that thing. So we're gonna get this finished up, and we'll actually wire those lights in and get everything set. So after playing around with a few different locations for where I was going to put the switch panel at, I ended up deciding to have it right up on the dash. And I know this is a little tough to see and everything with it being dark out right now, but if I'm in the driver's seat sitting right here, you can see it's right next to the A-pillar and right up at the dash. I put it just behind the bezel so I can still remove that dash bezel if I need to and everything. But this is what's nice about these switches, is you can custom do everything. So the lights that I have in the openings of the front bumper, I can turn those on. You can see they just light everything up. I can also turn on the white lights for the rack, or I can take and do my ambers, which I've got pointed up a little bit, which hit a little bit of a higher spread with how I have them directed. So these switch panels are really great, and you can see I still have 3 blank spots that I can add in more. I'm planning on doing rock lights, a set of camp lights, which will be on the sides of the rack that's on the roof, and then I'm also planning on doing a set of auxiliary reverse lights for that. So and that one actually may change over. I might do an air compressor or something like that if I don't do the auxiliary reverse lights. So anyway, so this is where I ended up with, and it's a really good location with the stickers on there for indicating what each switch is for. I don't get any glare at night off of it. Before I had the switches on there, it was really bad, which is why I put these blank ones on these bottom 3, because otherwise there's just a lot of green light coming at me. And it is nice that when I turn it on, it changes over to a yellow backlight to let me know that it does have power. So even if I were to be going along and say one of my elements failed, I could see that it's still supplying power to it. So that is really nice. So that is how you really just a final wrap on how you install one of these gang panel switches and make it so that you don't have the rat's nest of wiring. You don't have relays all over the place in your engine bay or under your dash, but instead it's all just in one area. It's in one contained unit, and for $80 or $90, that is a really tough upgrade to beat when you know you're going to be adding in auxiliary elements to your vehicle. So with all that, hope this helps, and I will see you on the roads less traveled.